Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Welcome back to the Welcome to Asgard podcast, episode 293, which reminds me to shout out Toph Morris, who is a $5 backer over on Anchor.fm. Thank you again for supporting this show as a podcast, and also I need to shout out someone who donated via PayPal today. Kind of unexpected there, so I appreciate it. Robert, thank you. I don't know if you want me to say your full name or not, so I'm just going to say, Robert, thank you for the $15 donation via PayPal. And he says, hey, Odin, sending some love. Thanks for the movie reviews. Sorry you have to sit through all of the woke garbage. So thank you again, Robert, for that $15 donation via Streamlabs. I really do appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Today, as you can see from the title, is going to be a short open forum. So therefore, most things are on the table tonight. Obviously, there's certain things that I can't talk about, but the reason why it will be a short open forum, trying to get this show, and that's why I started a little bit earlier as well, why we're trying to get it a little bit more closer to around 8 o'clock as an end time, is because I have family in town, but I will also be out of town next weekend, and so instead of skipping 2 weekends in a row, I was able to, thanks to my lovely family, be able to get about an hour or so to be able to come on and join you guys and talk about some of the stuff that y'all want to talk about. Obviously, I put up my Halloween Kills review earlier today. I was able to watch that just the other day. Finally, just watched. The reason why I didn't start even earlier was because one of the first questions I saw was about the Batman trailer, and so I needed to watch that because I hadn't watched it yet today because of family being here, because we were celebrating baby Thor's first birthday party. His birthday was earlier in the week, and so his first party was today. And it was a lot of fun. So thank you again for your patience and for your love and support. Please make sure that you smash that like button if you're watching over on YouTube. Light up that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey. We are live also on DLive and on Twitter as well. So let's go ahead and get started. By the way, we start off with a $5 super chat from G-Man. Thank you for that super chat. He says, I agreed with you on bullying, Odin. Being able to overcome adversity and grow may be a good thing, but that does not make bullying a good thing. G-Man, well, thank you for the support, man. I appreciate it. For anyone who missed it, it was a topic that came up on yesterday's Friday Night Tights, and it was definitely one where I felt very much on one side of the coin there, where most of the others fell on the other side. I think that Tom was probably the closest to where I was, but even he was kind of more so in the middle. But he agreed with me with the basic idea of, having just a more of a nuanced approach to it. And I still stand by that statement, especially as someone who not only was bullied, but was a bully. And I actually later in life saw the impact of that bullying on the other person, and I was actually lucky in high school to run into the person that I had bullied when I was in grammar school. You don't think about, grammar school bullying, what kind of an impact that has. I was able to run into the person that I bullied when I was in 4th grade. Obviously, I didn't know any better, and so it's something that is not really, obviously, it wasn't malicious, right? It wasn't intended to be malicious, and yet we oftentimes don't realize the impact that our choices, the impact that our words can have on somebody. And luckily, I ran into this person, and the first thing that they did when they saw me was their eyes got big and they turned around. We just ran into each other. And the first thing was, oh my goodness, I want to go away. And eventually, because I had a mutual friend, we had a mutual friend there who was there. We were going to see a movie together. Was able to go and talk to her, and was able to get her to come back around, and she apologized for having ran away, but then she let me in on the impact that not just what I had done in bullying, but also what the bullying of others, because obviously I was very much a part of a group that was all partaking in the bullying, and the impact that had on her psychologically with therapy, medication, all these other things. So I know the impact that bullying has, and I know that not everyone grows up to be stronger from it. Some absolutely can, but not everyone can. I also am a teacher, and I see the impacts of bullying on a daily basis, and so I know the real world impact that this has. And even though there are many cases of people growing stronger from it, to say that it is a good thing, to say that it is, intrinsically a good thing or even just a good thing in general, I think is very much a gross understatement of what is actually going on. I think it's something that needs to have a much more nuanced discussion, and I'm glad that we were able to have somewhat of a discussion there. But anyway, G-Man, thank you for that super chat, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. And yeah, that was definitely something. And I saw a lot of people in the comment section, especially when that topic was going on. I'm going to be honest, I was legitimately mad. I was legit mad because it is definitely something that I very much disagreed with. Do I still love the guys that I do the show with? Absolutely. Still have mad love, mad respect for the boys. Mad love for the mad lads. But it is, I think, still something that is important to talk about because I've seen the impact just from my own actions on others and also from how other people have been treated as well. So anyway, let's say hello to some people in the chat. We got Tina B, Empress of the Universe. Thanks you for being here, Tina B. So again, as I mentioned, Tina, we're going to try and go to 8 p.m. Eastern as the cutoff today. Snortapoopus Cuber says, "Hello, humans and other quitters. Hail to you. Glad to have you here." We got the new number 2, who's also known as Dean Heiss, says, "Was great seeing Gary on Timcast last night. F&T crowd was well represented." It was. I was only able to watch it a little bit, as I said, family in town. But from what I was able to see, it looked awesome. And kudos, shout out to Gary for being able to be on Timcast. And yeah, absolutely. It was awesome. And it was awesome to see so many FNT people in the crowd as well. We showed up in droves and it was amazing. And also the amount of Georges that I saw in super chats and also in the comment section was pretty fantastic as well. Andrew Hoyle, hello to you, good sir. Good evening. Good late evening to you as well. Orange Reviews says, "I have come here to chew bubblegum and to kick butt, and I'm all out of kicking butt. Hail Odin." Ah, you've got some bubblegum then. You've got some bubblegum then, I see. Andrew Hoyle with the question of the night, I'm sure. What do you think of the new Batman trailer? There are parts that I really liked. Paul freaking Dano, let me just put that out there. I'm both happy and sad because we didn't get a lot of him, but I'm actually happy because it means that there is going to be a lot that will be revealed when the movie itself comes out, is my hope. I don't like when trailers give away too much of a story, of a character. So I'm excited. I was excited to see more Paul freaking Dano as Riddler, but obviously I need a lot more. I cannot wait to get even more of Paul Dano as Riddler. I think he's going to do a phenomenal job. Otherwise, there were other parts that I didn't like. For instance, there is this one scene where Robert Pattinson's Batman is talking to the Riddler and yells and says, like, why would you do that? Or why did you do that? And it didn't sound good. It was really bad. In fact, I would say that one moment was actually kind of cringe. It just didn't feel like Batman at all. And there are other parts of the trailer that did not feel like Batman. As I said, this is when the first teaser trailer and images came out. The emo look he's going with. And I know some people saying, it's not an emo look, all right? It's eye makeup. It's realistic. No. By emo look, I mean the long hair in the face. That is quintessential emo look. And on top of that, there's some sequences where he also has that eye makeup left over as well. I'm not digging it. I'm not digging the emo looking Bruce Wayne. That's just not how I personally view Bruce Wayne. And I don't think that looks. I don't think it looks very Batman to me. So that again was not that great. The action sequences they show in this film I thought looked great. Again, when he was in the zone as Batman, I thought that looked pretty good. I thought seeing him beat up people, that looked great. I think that he is going to do fine as Batman. Like, I know there's some people who say there's no chance he's going to do well as Batman. I would say I disagree mostly, but this trailer actually puts more doubt. The first trailer didn't put as much doubt in my mind except for the whole emo stuff. This one actually put a little bit more doubt only because of that one moment. And again, I would say, look at that trailer again. When he reacts to the Riddler, when he's talking to him in prison, and he says, like, why would you do that? Or why'd you do that? There's something about the tone of voice that just sounds so off. It's just, ugh. And it was cringe. It just wasn't good. So Other than that, though, I would say there are mostly good moments in the trailer. It is mostly good. But, yeah, there's still a lot of time left, of course. And we still have to see the entire movie to really have any actual idea of what the film and how the film is going to be. Glad that you were able to show up tonight, Dean Heiss. Alice McCarthy Jr., what's up, dude? He says, howdy, old, and how's it going? How's Thor? Halloween Kills 7.5 out of 10. You are way too generous, Alex McCarthy. Again, as I mentioned in my review for Halloween Kills, if you like the typical slasher style, I think that this film is a good throwback to that. The issue is that there's nothing new to the table. It's the same boring story. Like, again, when I say same boring, the original's great, but it's the same story over and over and over again. It's nothing innovative in the story at all. And on top of that, they've made the people, it seems, dumber. Someone in the comment section on the video says, yeah, they seem to make the characters dumber somehow. And it's like, you're making the same mistakes every single time. This is now the 12th movie in the franchise. You get to a point where you say, okay, it's time to actually deliver something new. And they don't deliver anything new. And so I hope that the next film in the franchise, Halloween Ends, finally ends it. I hate to say. I know there's people that are fans of the franchise, but unless they did an actual hard reboot, which even then I have issues with hard reboots in general, they got to be able to give us a good story. And so far in this new iteration, they really haven't done that. They gave us as I said, they gave us the slasher kills. I thought the slasher kills were on point in this film. The cinematography especially, I think, helped with that. The music, obviously, is also solid. The story, no. The story is not good. Acting, in some cases, is also incredibly cringe. And it's gotten to the point where the story itself is boring. Joey Horn, what's going on? Keck44, welcome. Bruce in the chat, what's going on? GMucky76, hail to you. Glad to have you here. And yes, indeed, Stephanie B will not be here in the chat tonight. But anyway, shout out to Stephanie B nonetheless. Her mom is fine in general sense, but just keep her mom in your prayers if you could. And also, please keep my niece in your prayers if you are of the praying variety. I'd appreciate it. Andrew Hoyle says, be nice to be able to hear Odin speak in a stream for Well, hey, every Tuesday and Saturday, you are guaranteed to hear me talk ad nauseum. Some maybe more than what maybe more than what some people would actually want to hear. No, and I've already mentioned this several times in other streams, and hey, when it comes down to it, we have a lot of varying personalities on Friday Night Tights. We've got a lot of strong personalities on Friday Night Tights that tend to dominate the conversations. And guess what? That's just the way it goes. That's just the way that any panel discussion is going to go. There's going to be some voices that are going to be more dominating than the others, and that's okay. That's okay. It happens, right? It happens that way. But I love my fam. I love my Friday Night Tights crew. All right. Let us see. Forever Sci-Fi, hail to you. Glad to see you in the chat. Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father. Says, Superman now fights for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. I fight to find a better comic. Yeah, so they got rid of the American way and said a better tomorrow. Yeah, there's no political motivations to that whatsoever. There's no way. There's no way. All right, Super says, hey, what is up, my dude? Sorry, I haven't been here in a couple of weeks. Hope all is good. Hope you're doing well, Super. Hope you're doing well. Again, G-Man, thank you for that super chat and for those kind words. I do appreciate it. Forever Sci-Fi says, have to admit the Batman trailer looked good, as Gary says, cautiously optimistic. Yeah, I can see why there would be a lot of people that would have some optimism. I think that as I said, there are some good things. There are some good things in there. But it is definitely something where there are some problems. And I hope those problems get addressed or just don't exist in the actual film, in the actual final product. Soul Assassin, what is going on? Andrew Hoyle's member says, when you say things you can't talk about, is it because you expected as the person to take over the stream? No. Obviously not. It's because obviously there are certain things because of occupation, etc., that I don't talk about. Yes, indeed. Belated birthday to Thor, to my son, whose birthday was earlier in the week. The official party was today. Very, very modest affair, which I like. I don't like a lot of people in general being around, so it was actually kind of nice. We had a variety of tacos for our meal. Also some cake, which was delightful. Cannot wait to go grab some more cake once I get off the stream for my dessert. And family was here too, which has been fantastic as well. Always love it. And in-laws brought cookies for me, and I'm always very happy. Very, very happy. Thank you again. Anyway, let's see. Let's go. Brandon says, The Last Duel was not for me. It looks great. It sounds great. Active world class, or I guess acting world class is what it meant to say. The story for the wokesters, hashtag empty shelves Joe. Let's go, Brandon. I remember seeing an article released before the film came out that apparently the film's story is a bit on the identity politics side, apparently. Again, I have not seen the film, so I cannot confirm nor deny that. It is a film where the trailer looked compelling enough for me to want to go see it. There are a lot of elements there that kind of draw me in. Obviously, the time frame in which it takes place is something that I have a soft spot for, like medieval type stories and tales. And so I'm definitely interested in that aspect of it. But yeah, I've heard that there is some potential politicization in the story. So it's definitely on my list of things to see, but was not able to actually get to go see a showtime of that this week, obviously, because it didn't come out until the other day. And last couple of days, obviously, family has been in town. Also, I don't know when it will be released, but I did an interview yesterday with Carrie Smith over on Unsafe Space. Make sure you subscribe to Unsafe Space. It was a really great discussion. And what started off as talking about how I got started on YouTube ended up becoming where I think half the conversation was actually about faith. And it was awesome. I was loving every second of it. So if especially you like when I talk about that kind of stuff, I think that's going to be a really good podcast, a really good video to watch when that eventually becomes live on the Unsafe Space channel. Rosie G12, hail to you. Glad to have you here. CW Trixie, what is going on? Says, How to Train Your Dragon is getting a new series that looks to take place generations later. Could be a fun watch. Yeah, you know how I feel about whenever they're trying to take properties that have already been established and drain them of as much money as they possibly can. You know, I'm typically not a fan of when they do that. Now, that's not to say that it won't be good, but it is, I think, still I think it is something that is worth having some concern over. At the very least, right? That they just continue to do these things instead of creating new and bold ideas. Anyway, Mr. Roy, what's going on? Keely Chow, what is going on? 13th Warrior, who's a member on the channel, says, I love that Chris Gore called Dune the best adaptation of the book so far. A good review from someone who is declared fan of the IP and credible reviewer makes me excited to see it. Same here. Yeah, listening to them talk about Dune in the ways that they were made me excited. I actually have a ticket. Guys, I have a ticket to see it this week, opening night in IMAX. It is going to be the back row of the IMAX screen. However, if I can remember correctly, the theater that I'm going to, it's not going to be too far away for it to not have as much of an impact. But I am so incredibly excited to finally see this movie. And I don't think I'm going to be able to finish the audiobook before then, but even just having the basic premise, I'm about maybe like 3 or 4 hours into the audiobook. I think I have like 16 hours left, so still a long way to go. But I think just having the foundation that I have with the novel and with the ideas is I think a good place to start, because all the things they were talking about and references they were making, it was just nice to be able to, understand what was going on. So I'm incredibly excited. And obviously, Denis Villeneuve, you all know, I'm a big fan of his. I think he's the best director currently working in Hollywood, or at least one of the best directors currently working in Hollywood. New number 2 says, was great seeing you and Tom on Friday Night Tights at the same time. It was. And here's the thing. It's not the first time. We've been on this show together a few times before this. It's not often because obviously we have space restrictions on the show. And so with the number of spaces that you can have in StreamYards and everything. So normally when I'm about to leave, because I can't stay on the entire time because of family reasons, I am needing to get off at a certain time, and so therefore that's when the spot opens up for Tom to jump in. So it's usually just because of logistics and not because of any other reason. But no, I was also very happy to be able to be on with him. Let's see. Forever Sci-Fi says, I think the guys confuse bullying with judging. The problem with modern society is that they are no longer allowed to judge and criticize bad behavior. I think the crew, and this is just my own thought, I think the crew misunderstood the entire argument. Because if we're talking about the society where everyone gets a trophy, where everyone's a winner, no. I am not supportive of that at all. I think that is incredibly dangerous. Bullying is a very different thing, right? So it's one thing to try and create an environment where nothing bad ever happens, because I think that absolutely is dangerous. Because if you coddle people and create safe spaces, so-called safe spaces for kids, which I think is honestly impossible to do, but let's say you do, later in life when they finally engage with certain topics or engage with being treated a certain way, they're going to break, right? So the whole snowflake generation is what I really think is best described by that. But that is not the same as saying that bullying is a good thing, which is what they were essentially saying. And I wholeheartedly disagree. Wholeheartedly. Because as I said in the very beginning of the stream today, bullying is wrong. To treat anyone in a way that degrades them as a human person, that treats them somehow as less than, is never, ever tolerable and is never okay. It's never justified. This is also coming from the person that would say, anyone that says, oh, punch your bully in the face, I'm also opposed to that as well. Because violence does not actually solve problems. And that's the pacifist in me. But I think that is what the bigger issue is. I think the bigger issue is, do we coddle too much versus bullying, right? I think there's very big differences between those two things. Alex says, Odin is a bully? I say, nay. Odin is a teddy bear. Well, yes, you know me now in my life. But I was young once. I made mistakes. There's a word that says, as a young man, I was without a doubt a major jerk. Yeah, again, I think all of us will go through a phase like that. I think all of us will absolutely go through a phase like that. Aiden Vickery says, I would like to think, given a bit more time, the FNT would have used a different word than bullying. I think that if we actually had a nuanced discussion on the topic, my hope is that we would have come to an actual mutual understanding and agreement. We would have still disagreed with certain things, I'm sure, but I think there would have been more agreement than disagreement. Yeah, but the way that it was being presented and talked about, there was just no way that I was going to be able to fully support what was being said. Anyway, Andrew Hayes says, hello, watched the 2018 Halloween movie, and I have to say it was pretty enjoyable. Looking forward to Halloween Kills. I was not a huge fan of Halloween 2018. If I had to choose which one I enjoyed more, I think story-wise, the 2018 one. Kill-wise, slasher film-wise, the newer one, but I don't think either of them are really necessarily good. Let's see, Soul Assassin says, I was bullied, then became a bully. When I was in high school, luckily I was able to make peace with the dude I bullied when I ran into him a few years ago. Good guy. Yeah, Soul Assassin, as I said, I'm so incredibly thankful that I was able to have that moment to ask for forgiveness. And not just that, but also to see the impact that my actions had. Orange Eye Reviews, thank you very much for being a member for 16 months in a row at the Army of Asgard level. And here, again, sorry it took me 20 minutes, but it says, Movie Talk, National Treasure, yay or nay nay? And thoughts on its sequel, The Book of Secrets. I like the first National Treasure. I think it's fun. Typically, most things with Nicolas Cage in them are going to be at least fun, and I have a lot of fun with the first one. Second one, it's basically the first one, just not as good, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't have some type of entertainment value. So first one, I will give a big yay to. I'll give the second one a yay nay, if that makes any sense. And hopefully it does. One Man Show, welcome. Glad to have you here. K-Man, thank you very much for the Norwegian, is it Krona? Is that what it is? Anyway, thank you very much for the super chat. Says, just watch Bond. Americans don't understand Bond. The woke era is over. Living non-vax in a free country. That doesn't quite make a lot of sense to me, to be perfectly honest. I don't quite understand the point that was being made in either of those sections, either about James Bond or about vaccines. Let me know in the live chat. Just tag @Odin. Just tag @Odin, K-Man. Let's see. Matthew Highland says, did you watch the Batman trailer yet? I already talked about that. New number 2, who is a member, says, as a teen, I was bullied all through my school years, not physically, but verbally, which can be worse. Yeah, and that's the other thing, too, right? Is typically when bullying gets talked about, the only type of bullying that typically gets talked about is physical. And anyone who has been in and around or has kids knows that that's not really what bullying is anymore. It still exists, absolutely, no doubt about it. But most bullying nowadays takes place at the emotional and psychological level. And here's the biggest issue with our modern day and age with social media. It doesn't stop. It used to be where if you had a bully, it would usually be maybe physical or be teased, and then you got home and you had some respite. Now, you get home and guess what? Everything continues to happen through social media. It never ends. It never stops. And the emotional impact, the psychological impact that it's having is incredibly detrimental and is incredibly dangerous and is not something to be taken lightly. You cannot tell someone, especially who's going through and suffering from anxiety and depression, oh, just buck up, just buck up, kid. Take it on the chin. Fight your bully. That's not going to fix anything. All that does is create more problems and leaves the real issues unaddressed. So, yeah, it's something I'm incredibly passionate about. Having had certain issues present in my own family, not just in my own life, but in my own family. Let's see. Crisco says, which musical movie do you think is worse, Cats or Moulin Rouge? If you mean, yeah, so musical movie, Moulin Rouge is actually good. I mean, maybe not everyone agrees with me on that, but at least Moulin Rouge is actually a pretty competently put together film that's a lot of fun. Cats is just nightmare fuel. Cats is just a nightmare in general. Anyway, Joey Horn, who's a member, says, I'm not a fan of the look they're giving Robert's Wayne. Yeah, neither am I. I don't like the Bruce Wayne they're giving because to me it just looks like emo kid. That's the look that we're really getting from it. Super Anime Gamer says, personally, I still not sold on Pattinson, but looks well shot, and Colin Farrell looks ridiculous in a very good way. And that was actually the thing I was trying to look into to see if that was Colin Farrell in the trailer that was being featured. But when you look at his hands, I don't think that is supposed to be... maybe it is, but I didn't think that was supposed to be Penguin. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just missing something there. I thought that may have been like Falcone or something. But if that actually is Colin Farrell's character, then yeah, the makeup looks phenomenal for that at least. GrowMacau79 says, hey, I kind of liked Halloween Kills now, but it's a 7 out of 10. It's about 7th in my rankings. 7 out of 12 is not very good, man, if we're going to be honest. Oh, man. But yeah, it's been interesting to see the comments that you have posted on the various videos because you've kind of been all over the place a bit with it, I would say. Let's see, Orange Chad, who's a member, says, sound like he said, learn to die when he yelled at the Riddler. That's what I heard. Yeah, and no matter what he actually said, it just was said in an incredibly cringe way. Like, I don't care what he actually said. The issue is more so with the way in which he said it. That's the issue. All right. Let us see. Alice McCarthy says, that's not an emo look on Bruce Wayne. That's Lyndon Hall in need of a haircut. Oh, okay. I see. Gurmakal79, who's a member, says, well, one you'll get unpacked. One you'll get unpacked? Or is that once you get unpacked? And see, I think that to me is the bigger issue, is that there isn't a whole lot to unpack in that movie. It is not. Halloween Kills is the very definition of a not deep film. There is not a lot there. Forever Sci-Fi. Funny, I had more concern with the action. Batman isn't supposed to be a tank taking bullets left and right. Yeah, that is another thing that I'm willing to actually kind of let that go because of the way it's being portrayed, at least, where it's dark and there's a lot of different stuff going on. That was the least of my concerns. However, I do still think it is a valid point to bring up. I do think it is a valid point to bring up. No doubt about it. Gomer Kyle says, happy belated birthday to little Thor. Can't believe it's been a year. I know, seriously, seems like yesterday. No doubt about it. Alex says, Halloween is my favorite horror franchise. Halloween 2018, I give a 4 out of 10. And Alex, as we've always pointed out, man, your takes on films can sometimes be very questionable. At the end of the day, one being better than the other is irrelevant because neither of them are very good. If Halloween Kills is a C minus, Halloween 2018 for me might be a C. It's also been a long time because I only ever saw that film once. I don't want to watch it again. And so it's like they're both in that forgettable territory for me, regardless. Tina B says, these new Halloween movies are part of a trilogy. The third one comes out next year. I only recognize one Halloween, and that's the Carpenter one from 78. It's by far the best, I would argue. It's by far the best. And there is a third one coming out next year. And Lord knows what in the world it's going to be like. Gormakal says, Halloween Ends is going to be woke. Watch the David Gordon Green is what he says. Yeah, well, I know that's like, yeah, it's like, are you talking about like the interview that he did or something? Yeah, apparently like there's been some commentary about the last one, especially having a lot of random political messaging. So yeah, if this one's not good and it wasn't, then it definitely gives you some concerns if you are a fan of that franchise. See, Gabriel Rivero says, have you seen The Professor and the Madman Conspiracy Theory? Both are Mel Gibson movies, and I really enjoy those movies. The Professor and the Madman. Okay, so Conspiracy Theory is a film. Okay, gotcha. I've not seen Conspiracy Theory or the Professor and the Madman. However, I have at least heard of the Professor and the Madman because that is the one he did with what's his name? Who's a bit of a lefty nut himself. You all know what I'm talking about. This is when my brain gives up on me, sadly. Miss Martin Muses, thank you very much for the $1 rose. I appreciate the rose. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't think it is. Let's just say that because I can't give too much away. Just know that she is under a year old and has had complications and just could use your prayers. Is really all I can say about it. But it's not enough to where, because if it was, let's just say that if it was really, really, I wouldn't be on right now. So it's not to that point, but it is definitely one where prayers would be very much appreciated. Nearsighted Cyclops, what is going on? Thanks for being here. Forever Sci-Fi's member says, I laugh at Tim mispronouncing Az's name. It doesn't surprise me. He mispronounces things all of the time. Gonzalo Bergali, what's going on, bruv? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you. Matthew Highland, what is going on? Says, I think Paul Dano will steal the show. I agree. If it isn't him, it'll be Colin Farrell. Because I think Colin Farrell looks fantastic in the makeup. It's truly a transformation. And if that was him in the trailer too, the voice work he does on that also is pretty fantastic as well. But yeah, Paul Dano is amazing. I love him. Gonzalo Bergali's member says the trailer had me all in until the two goons start aiming at his armored belly while he is wailing straight to him. Yeah, exactly. I think that it looked really cool, but if you step back for a second and actually think about it, it's like, okay, maybe not the best take. Anyway, the R watching over on Odyssey. Few people watching over there. Hail to the R. Thank you for the $5 donation over there on Odyssey, saying, sorry for being late. Here's my fine. Well, thank you for being here nonetheless, the R, and I'm glad I was able to get it working today over on Odyssey. Let's see. Andrew Hoyle says, taco cake sounds awesome. Now I say nay. We had tacos and cake, not taco cake. That's a step too far for me. It's not as bad as pineapple on pizza. However, it is a step in that direction. Forever Sci-Fi says, hey now, I said cautiously pessimistic. I'm not ready to be optimistic towards Okay, yes, Forever Sci-Fi. Sorry for misquoting you there. Cautiously pessimistic. Yeah, I would agree, because almost most things that are coming out of Hollywood these days are not things that are worth really being that much excited for. Thursday Warrior says, cool, I like Carrie Smith's podcast. Yeah. She does really good work. And as I said, it was so much fun to talk with her. So much fun to talk with her and to have that interview. And I can't wait for y'all to see it. We really, as I said, we go into a really deep discussion on issues of faith. And I think it was an important discussion. And you can just kind of tell both of us are just like really feeling it. And it's great. Joey Horn says, based on the reviews I've heard of Dune, 4 hours into the audiobook may be about the end of the movie. Yeah, well, it seems like there's a halfway point. So I would assume halfway through the audiobook would be halfway through the movie. So I would still have, let's see. I would still have maybe 6 hours. I could theoretically get through 6 hours before I watch the film on Thursday. That's doable, I think. Either way, whether I get to see it or whether I get to listen to those hours or not, I'm going to be fine because I've enjoyed films aplenty without actually having read the material beforehand. And based on the trailer alone, I already know it's going to be leaps and bounds better than anything ever put out by David Lynch. And I know I just triggered some people in the chat. Super says, oh, you're reading Dune. Would you recommend it? Because I've been debating picking it up, but I'm not actually a sci-fi fan, and I hear the series is kind of intense, so I'm intimidated. If you're not a sci-fi fan, then I would say no, because it's a sci-fi. It's a sci-fi story. So if you're not into sci-fi, then I would say probably not. But if you like sci-fi, or are, middle of the road with sci-fi, based on what I've been listening to, I would say, yeah, it is one where there are multiple voices, multiple people doing multiple voices, and I kind of like that. It's not something that can always work, but I think production design on the book is done pretty well, and overall I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the voices. I'm enjoying the character work that's been done in the audiobook version, for sure. Let's see. Soul Assassin says, in the past decade, bullying has gotten way worse with access to the internet. Not like when I was a kid and problems were settled in the schoolyard. And that's the other thing too, right? Is that the culture has changed. The culture has changed. And so therefore we have to look at it from different perspectives. We have to look at it through the modern lens. And as I said, and I think you make that point very clear too, bullying now doesn't stop. It used to stop at school. There was a respite when one got home. And that respite has gone away because of the internet. And that is something that is not talked about enough. Also, mental health has diminished incredibly the last several years. We already know one of the many reasons why it happened this past year and a half, because of lockdowns and mask mandates, etc. We know that's had a psychological impact. And it's sad because we have to say things like, it'll be a while before we know exactly what kind of an impact. We can already tell that it's been a pretty massive impact, to say the very least. But there are a lot of other things going on in our culture and in the way our culture has been moving. And these are things that cannot just be simply pushed aside. Anyway. Rose212 says, bullying is wrong, period. Kids have squabbles and figure it out amongst themselves is a part of what they should get out of school. I'm not sure all we're talking about the same thing on FNT. Yeah, it's one thing if you have struggles with a person, right? Especially like if it's a friend or an acquaintance and you're working things out. That's one thing. Bullying as a term, to treat someone else as garbage and try to make them feel like garbage, that can never be justified. It is never a good thing. Good can come out of it. And that's one thing I think I needed to bring up, is that we already know that good can come from evil, right? I mean, we can think about how some of the worst events in history led to some of the most heroic actions ever done. Doesn't make the terrible event good. Doesn't mean that it was worth having the terrible event happen. Right? 9/11, awful. Thousands of innocent people gone, killed, murdered. And yet, there were so many people that stepped up and were heroes during that time. We as a nation came together, right? Those are good things. Not worth the cost. Not worth the terrible event. Doesn't make the terrible event good. Doesn't make the terrible event justified. Now, obviously, that's an extreme, but bullying is in the same way. Just because you might grow from being bullied does not make the bullying that happened good, or even bullying in general good or okay. Period. And stop. Sorry if I get worked up about this. But as I said, seeing its impact on a daily basis, having experience with it in my own family life as well, it is a very important subject that needs to be discussed. Awesome one. Tag to say, king of I'll have ice cream afterwards. It's true. And it's probably not going to be that today because there's just so much cake and cookies left. I don't know if I'd have room for ice cream at this point, as much as I like it. By the way, I did forget at the end of the last stream, it came in as we were ending it, but I believe it was Daniel Thorne on D-Live. So Daniel Thorne, if you're listening to this now or listening to it later, I want you to thank you so very much, Daniel Thorne, for the ice cream donation. It really does mean a lot. Anyway, Aiden Vickery says, in case you have not heard, Michael Caine in UK radio interview on Friday said he is giving up acting. He said he has nothing else lined up, and at 88, it's time to stop. Interesting. I thought I saw a post about that not being true, that he hasn't given up acting. Maybe I've missed something. Maybe someone can confirm in the chat when I eventually catch up in the live chat with what's true or not. But you know what? Kudos and hey, all love to Michael Caine. Sir Michael Caine has had a career the size of a tangerine. He's had an amazing career, and I think that he has a lot to say as far as he has nothing left to prove. And if he doesn't want to do it anymore, hey, that's his right to do it. Obviously, I love seeing him work, even in the not-so-great films. But that's his ultimate decision and ultimate choice. And you know what? I got to especially be supportive when he does that. The Physics Channel with Kenny Lee, what is going on? Yeah, Ms. Martin muses, absolutely it does. Right? Not just in school situations, but in general. Right? People are bullied online all the time. Absolutely. And people, again, don't understand the impact that it has. Gonzalo Bagali, anything that is worse than cats, the answer is cats. Yeah, if a question's ever asked for which is worse and Cats is the option, the movie, yeah, absolutely. By the way, some super chats to get to, donations to get through as well. G-Man, thank you for another $5 super chat. Says, next time you make tacos, mix about a quarter teaspoon of ground cloves in while you cook the meat. It's a game changer. Interesting. Okay. I haven't heard that before. We tend to use the ready-made packets from like El Paso, I think is one of the brands, among or others. Ortega is another. We tend to do that because it's just easier. It's quicker to do. Shuxy, thank you for the $3 donation via Streamlabs, and thank you for donating via Streamlabs. It says, thanks for voicing some reason on FNT about bullying. Being bullied psychologically definitely didn't do me any good. Well, Shuxy, I'm sorry that happened to you. Thank you for sharing that with me. And yeah, absolutely. I'm just a regular person. I have a day job. I see the impact of bullying on my students, former students, and I see the effects of it. And I thank God I have not had to deal with any extreme situations, but I know teachers that have. And that's why it's an incredibly sensitive subject for me. It's an incredibly important subject for me as well, and I think it needs to be taken in a more serious light. And that's why many people saw me, and I saw some people put in the comments during the show last night, it's like Odin looks like he's ready to go into teacher mode, etc. It's like, well, again, if that's the mode you want to call it when I'm serious, yeah, absolutely, because that is something that I definitely deal with, and take very seriously as a teacher, especially. But thank you for that donation, and thank you for sharing that as well. And yeah, people who talk about bullying in a positive light typically are only going to be able to speak from their own experience. The problem that arises is that they don't recognize, or maybe they just don't realize by a true mistake, that they might be the exception and not the rule. Or that even if they are the rule, that there are still exceptions. And that's why it's important to have a much more nuanced discussion about it, at the very least. Let's see. Andrew Hoyle says, I didn't like the look of Catwoman at all. I didn't mind it. Again, she didn't look like Catwoman. I can say that as a fact. She did not look like Catwoman at all. But as far as her presence, I mean, it was whatever. Let's see. Gormakal79 says, I was talking to Tina about her unpacking. Gormakal, gotcha. Just remember that as a member, you don't have to tag me when you put a comment. So if you're talking to someone else, I would appreciate if you would tag them at the very least. But thank you for the clarification there, Gomercall79. Also, Sandy Q, thank you for being a member for 3 months in a row at the Citizen of Asgardian level. Appreciate your love. Rosie212 says, I find it interesting the roles Colin Farrell takes. He could be a leading man, but he doesn't take those roles. Yeah, he's kind of like Heath Ledger in a certain way. Not to the same extent, but definitely similar. Where, yeah, you're right. He could be a leading man. He could do like the heartthrob role, and he's done them before. But he does end up taking some. I think he has either a very good agent, or two, a very good idea and concept about what his idea of acting is. I look to him, and I don't know about y'all, one of my favorite roles of Colin Farrell is a dark comedy called In Bruges. If you like dark comedies, you will love In Bruges. If you like Colin Farrell, I think that you will also love In Bruges as well. So that's the kind of film, though, I look at and I say, I think most people, if they were to have looked at Colin Farrell at that point, even at that point in his career, and you would say to yourself, wait a minute, this doesn't seem to fit him at all. And yet he rocked it. He rocked that movie. So good. Anono Mas, what's going on? Says, hey, all, sitting in my car, waiting on my wife. Probably miss most of this. Will stay on as long as I can. Well, Nono Mas, thank you for being here, man. Kaylee D, what's going on, Kaylee? Welcome back. Joey Horn says, the Halloween franchise ends with Halloween 2 in 1981. Boom. Okay. Well, the gauntlet has been laid down. Brad, the former pet troll on the channel, is in the chat. Brad, where you been, man? Where you been? You haven't been here. I know that much. But anyway, Brad is back. Orange Chat Reviews says, this just in, Superman's new motto, truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, as opposed to truth, justice, and the American way. I think my rage just broke. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, actually. Someone else had mentioned that. Steven says, I think Batman said, what have you done? Yeah, that's what I thought he said, too. And as I said, And I'm going to try and get this clear. To me, it does not matter what the words were. It's how he said the words. That is incredibly cringy. Forever Sci-Fi says, Conspiracy Theory is a good movie. It's like an Alex Jones movie. Well, with a name like Conspiracy Theory, I would expect nothing less. Anonymous says, Fool has never seen Friday Night Lights, and that does not surprise me. Especially since, guess what? It happens the same time as his own show on Fridays. So when would he be able to see it? I think it's typically unlisted or at the very least re-uploaded on another channel. So it actually does not surprise me all that much. It's not outside of the realm of sensibility for that to be the case. Gonzalo Bergali says, walking. What you walking for? Girl Macau 79 says, okay, Halloween 178, Halloween 2, 81, part number 3, part 6, number 4, part 4, number 5 is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which is what they should be doing anthology like that now. And yet I've heard terrible things about Season of the Witch. I hear people like that more so for the lulls than for the actual movie. E. Stevens says, the Batman felt like Punisher movie. Yeah. And it's not a Punisher character. It's a clearly different character. So that is interesting. It's an interesting perspective, I would say there. Andrew Hoyle coming in with his typical trollery saying, not as triggering as the Tomorrow War, I would say. And since it's coming up every stream from you, it's not nearly as triggering as it once was. It used to be. Now it's not. Jeremy Zukowski says, I had this dream morning that you review a movie while eating pineapple pizza and telling that this best pizza that you ever had. Yeah, that's a nightmare. And you can only ever see that in your dreams. That at least is true. G-Man, thank you again for that donation. I very much appreciate you. I appreciate you. As there's Brad, Beer Hunter, booing something to what, I don't know, but thank you for being here nonetheless. Thursday Warriors member says, I think bullying as a term should only be applied to a long-term continuing act of verbal or physical abuse. All of us have gotten angry and called people a bad name in the heat of an argument. Well, yeah, what you just argued, that's not bullying, right? If you're in an argument with someone, you don't argue with people you don't know. You argue with people that are your friends typically, right? People that you care about, or at least at some point cared about. The term bullying itself applies to you are treating someone that you are not friends with in a way that is meant to demean them as a human person and to cause them pain. And it's not okay. Sandy Cute, what's going on? 13th Warrior, there's a good thing for both people. Most would feel ashamed at their bad behavior and both could learn from it. No. As I said, just because there might be a good effect in some cases does not make it a good thing. Again, good things can happen from bad events. This is true. Doesn't make the bad events or the bad actions okay. Gomer Kyle 79 says, look, I'm 42, like 10 years older, but I got bullied by the same two preppy idiots physically, mentally. I get what you're saying, but was told to fight by both parents. I did. They left me alone. And again, it worked for you. It's not going to work for everyone. Also, too, guess what? If I was the teacher and I saw that, guess who's in trouble? You are. So it actually ends up having much of a worse effect on you. Because that's not a guarantee in every single case that that's going to happen. Also, violence is not justified. I'm sorry. People can call me and anyone else that says, no. If you are being treated in a way that is subhuman, if you are being treated in a way that is disrespectful, again, look up what bullying actually is. All right? We're not talking about friends ribbing on each other. We're talking about bullying. If you're being bullied, you share and open up and let people know. And you can knock that all you want. But that is the only way that any real change is going to be able to happen. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that there are people that have tried that and that there have been people, adults in those people's lives who have failed them. That is also true. But violence, no, I'm sorry. Violence is not a good thing. Mitch Lawner, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, he tweeted that he's not retired. Yeah, so it sounds like there was some misunderstanding there. Scott Miller says, best Michael Caine story was him missing Oscar win in person because he was filming Jaws 4. Yep. And also his justification for missing Jaws 4. I think that's very important. Awesome one is hailing Teacher Odin. Thank you. Aiden Vickery, Michael Caine's last film just opened in the UK. I heard the interview share. He said, that's it. Yeah, apparently he's tagged that it's not the case. So, Games Repository, what's going on? Gomer Kyle says, I get what you're saying. It's wrong to bully, but where I grew up in Hicktown, we fought. I'm not saying it's good or right in any way. Grown up, I know there are better ways to handle it. And that's just the thing, Gomer Kyle 79, is that there are, again, that's why it deserves a nuanced discussion. It deserves a nuanced discussion. But I am not willing to have a discussion with anyone who is going to, like a full-on actual nuanced discussion with someone who is going to say that bullying is good. That's a non-starter for me. I'm willing to have a more nuanced discussion with people who can at least start off by saying, no, bullying in and of itself is bad. But, again, you got to start. You have to be able, basically, if you don't agree on what I like to call first principles, right? Key ideas, key things, you can't have a discussion. At that point, if you are disagreeing on first principles, guess what? You are talking over each other. Nothing beneficial is going to come from it. So I would love to have a much more nuanced discussion about it. Minority Report, Colin Farrell, definitely a good one. Dolores Ed, Tad, what's up, bro? Says, I'm off to watch The Green Knight and then They Live. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Hey, man, that's a pretty nice double feature you got going on there. Rosie G12 says, I love Colin Farrell and Crazy Heart. Forgot he was in that movie. I forgot he was in that movie. By the way, as I mentioned, it is going to be a shorter show tonight, so we're going to go ahead and start to wrap things up. Since I started a little bit earlier, we are right around the hour time. So let's see. Samurai Vader says, I'm a ghost now. Boo. Well, that's scary. Tyler Boshears, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Daniel Thorne, yeah, I think you were the one that said the ice cream last time, and I wanted to make sure I got that shout out to you. Let's see. Thursday Warriors, a member says, I was making the same argument you were, Odin. It's just hard to do in 200 characters. Yeah, Thursday Warrior. Trust me, I understand. I understand, man, and I appreciate the support. I appreciate it. He then says, an interesting side note to bullying. Some studies show anti-bullying programs can actually increase bullying. Yeah, oh, no, absolutely. No, I think that the way in which we respond can sometimes make it worse. That is, I think, truthful. And that's why it's important for us to, as I said, have a nuanced discussion about it. But it has to start off with the premise of, no, bullying is bad. Brad, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, Tina B is the best ever at book club. Is that true, Brad? Is that true? She still needs to start her YouTube channel. By the way, it reminds me, since next weekend, as a reminder, next weekend, so Tuesday will be on. Next weekend, though, next Saturday, there will be no show because I will be out of town and I will not be able to do the show. I'll be at a wedding that evening, and so therefore I will not be available. So again, next weekend, no Saturday show. But also, it does raise in the question of when the next Chosen stream will be. If you are a member of the Chosen of Valhalla, I will try and get to y'all with an idea or with multiple ideas, because really the only Sunday I have available, because I have family in town this weekend and next week I'm out of town, would be probably Halloween, which is a Sunday this year. Yeah, Tina, and I know that's not a good one. I don't want to do it on Halloween. I'd rather not. So be on the lookout for alternatives. It might have to be on a different day. It might have to be early on a Saturday or something like that. So as I said, we will work it out We will figure something out together, and we will do the very best that we can to avoid Halloween. But as I said, we're kind of in a situation where it's where we only have so many days. Really, the only other alternative that I can think of is delaying it until November, the first weekend in November, and then having that be the October one. So anyone who was chosen during October would get access to that one, and then we would do another one in November. So that's another one too. That's an option. Joey Horn says, The Green Knight was a weird film. It is definitely weird. There is no doubt about that. It is not for everyone. It is a love-hate movie. Andrew Hoyle says, love the title, Quarter Black Garrett's Batman trailer review. Weak Batman wrist flailing in the rain. Oh, Quarter Black. Jeremy Sikowski says, have you seen the trailer for the new Daily Wire original Shut In? I have not. I saw the announcement for it, but I have not actually seen it yet. Andrew Hoyle then says, have it on a Friday night. I'm not going to be able to do that because of Friday Night Tights. You know this, Andrew. You know this. Anyway, that is going to be it for me tonight. As I said, did need to end this thing early. Daniel T, though, over on Odyssey before I head out, says, thank you for the tag. Halloween Kills was trash to me. The kills were great, but it's offset by endless stupid decisions by the townfolk. No likable characters, no stealthy stalker, Michael. Mob mentality and police reform messages shoved in my face. Ending sucked. It was far worse than 2018. I can't even give it 2 stars. Daniel T, I think that you're spot on there, man, for a lot of different reasons. That's why I don't like either of them. I don't think either of them are good. And you mentioned the one positive is the slasher kills are there, but the story is not. And yeah, when you dive into how the crowd was acting, the mob mentality, and some of the acting especially during that time, I mentioned that in my review, it is pretty bad. It is pretty cringe. Anyway, Cornelius Schultz, what's going on, man? Glad to have you here. Rogue Disney in the chat. Physics Channel, thanks for being here, man. Good night to you, Cornelius. Thanks for being here. Glad to see you. Remember, awesome one. Yes, no ice cream tonight. No ice cream tonight for me. It's going to be some cake from earlier, some birthday cake from the big boy's birthday. Little baby Thor's birthday party earlier. It was pretty awesome. It was pretty delightful. But before doing that, I do, of course, need to shout out my members who are at the Army of Asgard level and above, as it is indeed one of the perks of being a member on the YouTube channel at the Army of Asgard level and above. Huge shout out to Havakora, Gomer Kyle 79, Soul Extraction, Malvin, Twirly Wolf, Low Pro, Farrah Lovely, Valiant Renegade, Jonathan Marshall, Eric K, Cornelius Schultz, Fedigator, Gonzalo Bergali, George Molo, Grimm's Math, The Wicked Plumber, Kara Tharp, Dabman Walking 55, M Tax Shark, Forever Sci-Fi, Rosie212, Andrew Hoyle, Orange Out Reviews, and Aiden Vickery. Thank you all very much for being here tonight and for the love and the support. Thank you to everyone also for the donations and for the love and support. Cacao, thank you for stopping by at the very end. It's a chocolate style cake with what's called overnight cookies, which is it's hard to describe, but it's light and fluffy. It's light and fluffy with chocolate chips in it. And the way you cook it is you have the oven set, and then you turn off the oven heat, and then you leave it overnight, and that's what causes it to cook. And it's just, it's delightful. So they have those on top of the cake as well. Andrew Hoyle, no, you are weird for saying that out loud. But anyway, Tina, thank you for being here, as well as the mod tonight. Thank you all very much for being so loving and so supportive. Hopefully I'll be able to get a box office breakdown video out tomorrow. Because guess what? I also got to... I got some papers that I still need to grab. I'm halfway through. Should definitely be able to get through the rest of those tomorrow. But anyway, I'm going to spend some time with the fam with the rest of the night. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. And as always, first off, shout out to Kara Tharp and also to Bifford the Hobbit, supporters on Locals. And at this time, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my Patreon, Subscribe Star, and Locals members: Andrew Hoyle, animation commentator; Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Don Bruno de la Mancha, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father; Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Harold Francis, Inflamed Wood, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toone, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyle, 79, Laura, the Modern Major General's Story, Mike Jackson, Dion, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Rosetta Allen, Stan Andrian, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B., the Empress of the Universe. Thank you for being my Patreon members. And a huge shout out to my Subscribe Star members: The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, John B., Perpetual Punster, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heist Slash, the new number 2, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Subscribe Star. And to my one Locals member, Robert Barnes, thank you for supporting me over on Locals. And if you want a name shouted out, or your name rather, shouted out at the end of every single live stream and video, please consider joining on one of those platforms, either Patreon, Subscribe Star, or Locals. Links to that can be found in the description. Look at that top link especially. It's called the Willow link there. It'll give you links to all the social media platforms and also ways to support the channel. If you want to be an Army of Asgard level or above member, you can get access to giveaways that I do every single month. I give away 4Ks, Blu-rays, all kinds of stuff. It is a lot of fun. Also, if you join at the Keeper of the Bifrost level, you get access to all of that. Plus, you get access to an exclusive podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger. We have a lot of fun. We do that once or twice a month. And if you join at the Chosen of Valhalla level, you get all of that. Plus, in your first month, you get a t-shirt of your choice and send anywhere in the world. And also, you get to be featured on the channel once a month on the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where we get to hang out and have a good time. So anyway, if any of that sounds good, check out that link in the top of the video. As I mentioned, you guys are amazing and beautiful people. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.